So now thinking about the hidden curriculum, which is, although it's an internal factor or stated as an internal factor, does in fact a bit more to the structuralist way of looking at things. And it is kind of working along the lines of the functionalist and Marxist views of education, which is what I'm going to brush on here and highlight this idea of the hidden curriculum. As we have looked at a number of times, functionalists' idea of society is one of consensus. It is about maintaining harmony. And although that may sound like a nice hippie ideal, it is not. It is the idea of people understanding their place in society and abiding by the rules. Education is really important for that. Alcott Parsons, one of the key functionalist sociologists, described education as a bridge. This is a bridge between the values taught in the family, remembering values inform norms, status, and role, very important. So what you understand as the value consent, what you understand in terms of their values and norms from the family, he suggests there may be differences between families, and that what education does is provide a bridge from these particularistic or more individualistic ways of looking at things to a more universal form, so that the bridge between family and work is education, and education provides this common framework, common understanding, reinforces the commonality of our culture, thus making us able to cooperate and work well when we get to the world of work. Marxists are very similar, but as always, the comparison with Marxism and functionalism, one sees it as the way it should be, it right and great. The other sees it as a form of capitalist exploitation of the working classes. To Bowles and Gintis, two American Marxist writers in their work, Capitalist Schooling in America, from 1975, they said what the educational system does is mirror the world of work. Very similar to the idea of the bridge, but what they're saying is that what the education does is socialize individuals into the way of work. I mean, according to Marxists, education isn't there to educate you. I know that sounds like a contradiction, but what the educational system does is fail people. It's not so much that it passes them as it fails them, so that it, in failing by and large the working class, which Marxists would say is not a mistake of the capitalist system, for education is to fail the working class people, and so, and this is the crucial phrase, is to legitimize inequality. The shelf stacker, the road sweeper, the shitty job doer will be less likely to revolt at the injustice of their situation if they are convinced, because they didn't do well at school, they deserve to be in the role that they are in. So it does this process, and what it also does is prepare students for the world of work in the way of obeying authority, rigid structure, hierarchy, to accept alienation and boredom as normal. So why are lessons boring? Well, it's to prepare the proletariat of the future to accept boredom in work. What it replicates, so the difference between intrinsic motivation, that is sense of achievement, curiosity, interest, education for education's sense, education because you want to learn, but education because it's interesting, is replaced by grades. We're working towards a grade. We're not working to a better understanding of sociological concepts. We're working for that distinction or merit that we need to progress. The intrinsic, the enjoyment, the fascinating for the subject is taken out. This is mirrored in the world of work, in the sense of if you work on a factory line, or in fact, most non-high status jobs, you are doing it for the money, not for the sense of achievement or what you are doing. It mirrors it in this way, according to Bowles and Gintis. The day is split up into hour-long sessions divided by the bell. According to Bowles and Gintis, this means that there is never the satisfaction of completing a task or staying on one task for the entire day. This is mirrored by the factory system, where only short specialist areas are focused on, leading to repetition and boredom, rather than the satisfaction of completing a whole product. In this way, the day is divided into parts. Right. Now, in terms of the curriculum, moving away from functionalism, Marxism, and the idea of an ethnocentric curriculum. And this is that idea of what happens in the classroom, also explaining poor educational results from certain groups. And one of the things that is referred to here by those who look at poor performance in terms of certain ethnic minority groups, the biased nature, the white supremacy taught in schools. Churchill, as recently has been outed as a racist during the Black Lives Matter process, yet is lauded as the great and good. There is an alienation here. If this is white history for white folks, and it's a version of history that grandizes and minimizes in turn. Tony Sewell, who we came across earlier, who's very concerned at the lack of progress in our educational system, particularly of Black boys, but boys in general, claims that the way in which teaching and learning is organized is done with a gender bias. The old-fashioned way of a class teacher at the front dictating or giving notes or giving a general discussion, and the class simply doing what they will with the information, has been replaced, and this idea of more exams and the working under pressure exams, which are seen as appealing to the masculine type, have been replaced by discussion work, coursework, work that, according to Tony Sewell, better fits the female in terms of the ability to do and succeed in.